Hey folks, welcome back to the farm. We're in the kitchen today. Some of you have been asking for some additional lunch meat recipes, so we're going to do one for you today. We're going to do pressed ham. So stick around, we'll show you how to make it. I took some ground pork out of the freezer this morning before I left to breakfast. So we're going to get this. We're going to mix it up and put it in our meat press that we have there from Amazon. And let's get the recipe together and get going. So we have our bowls here ready to go. So I'm going to do something a little bit different that you can also do. We have a kitchen scale, which is by far the easiest way to measure your spices and the amount of meat and stuff like that. So you're not having to use teaspoons, tablespoons, and all that. All you got to do is look at the number. So at the end of the video, we'll break this down, and in the description, I will put the imperial equivalent of everything that I do, teaspoons, tablespoons, and pounds, and all that stuff. So I'll make the conversion for you. But for the ease of this video, we're going to deal in metric, which is kilograms, grams, and so on. So our meat is spiced per the kilogram. So I'm going to measure out either a kilogram, two kilograms of meat, depending on what's going to fit in that. And we'll figure out what we need. All right, so we've determined that 1 kilogram of meat fits in our press very well, and that's 1,000 grams, basically equals 1 kilogram. So now let's do the spices, and it's super easy. Let's turn our scale on. We've got our little cup we're going to put our spices in on the scale, and if you have it on the scale, when you turn it on, it automatically zeroes things out. So we need 15 grams of salt per kilogram of meat. So we'll sprinkle this in there until we get to 15. You want to go kind of slow because the scale will jump a little bit on you. We're at 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can re-zero this now, or if you just want to do the math, you can keep going. So we need 10 grams of brown sugar, so that'll bring us up to 25. 20, 23, 25, right there. Okay, and then we need 3 grams of cure. We're using the Morton's Tender Quick Cure. What this does is going to give it that distinct pink color that ham has. So we'll go to, let's see, 28. There's 26. 27, 28, right there. And that's all there is to it. We'll mix this up really well, and then we'll put in a quarter cup of water in this and help dissolve the spices really well. And then we'll mix it with our meat, because we mix it with the liquid first. It helps it distribute through the meat a little bit easier. Got our spice mixture mixed up really well. Quarter cup of water. We're just going to dissolve that a little bit before we mix it into our meat. Really helps with the cure. You want to get the cure dispersed as much as you can. And then we'll pour that in our meat, and then use the best mixing tool that you got and mix it a good long time. You want to keep this nice and cold. We're barely below freezing with this right now. Use very cold water. Mix it up super good, and then we'll get her stuffed. Okay, I like to start with kind of a rough surface on the meat, and then we can pour this kind of all around. And then you can see some of the spices that aren't dissolved are still in the cup. What you do is you just get a hunk of meat out of your bowl, grab it, and to just use it to wipe out your cup. That's the trick that we used back in our sausage making days. And then your cup is clean. So we're going to start mixing this up. Basically grabbing it with our fingers and doing that. And we'll do this for a good probably 5 minutes. That way we're good and mixed. So we'll bring you back when we're done. Got our meat mixed up really well. So we'll take our canister and we're going to stuff it. Remember that we want to get all the air pockets out of here that we can. So we'll put like a ball of meat together, stuff it down in there, and then push it, pack it with your hand. Try to get as many air pockets as you can, because you don't want those little voids in your meat when you're done. If you get a few, it's more cosmetic than anything else. It's not a huge problem. Now if you were stuffing sausage into a casing, you don't want those little air pockets in the casing, because then you can get bacteria kind of growing in those sometimes. But in the canister here is a different story. So I'm putting my hand on the canister like this and shoving down the sides, pushing the meat from side to side, and then I'll come in on top with my hands like this and flatten out the top. And then we'll go with another installment. We'll keep going until our canister is full. Alright, we've got our meat packed. 1 kilo is the perfect amount for this press. So we're letting that sit in the fridge for a while for a couple reasons. One of them being the salt is going to work on that mixture, draw some of the moisture out, and make it a firmer product before we cook it. The other thing is we want that cure to go all the way through the meat. Now you'll notice we didn't use cure on the chicken because we didn't want the chicken to turn that pink color like ham. We wanted it to look like chicken when we were done. But usually when I'm using beef or pork, I'll use the cure. And there's lots of different recipes for pressed ham on the internet. We got the most basic, plain Jane, kind of the vanilla version of ham. So it's just super easy, super basic, and you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. Now, if you wanted a smoke flavor in your ham, you could add anywhere from 1/2 teaspoon to a full teaspoon of liquid smoke, depending on what your taste is. Start out with 1/2 teaspoon the first time you make this. Figure out what you like. We didn't put any in this because, again, we want the plain Jane ham. So, and I hope you also realize that using the kitchen scale with the metric measurements is so easy. You don't have to bust out a bunch of measuring tools. You just weigh it until it has what you need in it. So remember, grams, 1,000 grams is a kilogram. So if you can convert stuff, it's super easy on your phone. If you have an Apple product, just say, hey Siri, how many grams is a teaspoon of whatever? And it'll just flat out tell you. So super easy. If you have an Android phone, I won't tell you what you say then because my phone's going to take off and ask me what, or tell me what I want. But you'll know what to say to your phone to get it to answer you back. So super easy. If you don't have that, have one of your grandkids come over and do it for you with their phone. So easy stuff. Okay folks, I got the rundown for you real quick because I asked my phone the conversion. So a kilogram of meat is about 2 1/4 pounds. 15 grams of salt is about 2 1/2 teaspoons. And 10 grams of sugar is about 2 1/3 teaspoon. And 3 grams of cure is about 1/2 teaspoon. So there you have it. Did it for you. All right, my friends, it is the next morning. We're going to get the ham out of the refrigerator. We're going to get it in a pot and get it cooking. We've got our big stainless steel pot. I've got my rack down in the bottom to keep the canister up off the bottom. We've put hot tap water in here right up to about where the meat line is. And then now we're going to take our instant read thermometer. We're going to go down through here, finding the hole down in that follower, and shove that thermometer all the way in there. So I want to get a second thermometer, like our candy thermometer, hang it here on the side to gauge the temperature of the water itself. We got our water thermometer here. We're going to run our water up to 180 degrees and hold it there. This giant mass of water here is pretty easy to regulate. You just throttle your gas back and forth, and then our thermometer here in the meat, we want to bring this up to 160 degrees. It'll take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to do that. And then once it reaches 160, we'll shock it. We'll dump all the hot water out of here, put cold water in here and some ice. We'll show you the process when we do it, but we want to cool this down as fast as we can after it's cooked. So we'll see you in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, if you don't have a press like this or have no desire to buy one, you can still do this. If you have some loaf pans, I have several different sizes here. You would need 2 of them that nest together, and then you can put your meat mixture in one of them and then use the other one for the press. You have to put some weight in here to hold it down, maybe like a brick or something if you wanted to. It's not like it's going to touch the food or anything, but just something heavy to weight it down. Put it in the fridge just like we did with that, and then cook it the next day. You don't have to necessarily cook this in water. You can also cook it in the oven as long as you set the oven at about 180 degrees to 200, so it's not cooking off the moisture in the meat. And then stick a temperature probe in it every now and then. Same thing. And making it like that, it would be more like Spam. It would be kind of rectangular. You could slice it any thickness you want. You could slice it thicker to cook for breakfast or thin for sandwiches, whatever you want. You could spice it up with whatever flavors you wanted, just like they do Spam. But the homemade product would be so much better than the store-bought Spam, I believe. Sometimes the Spam can taste kind of, I don't know the term for it, but it kind of tastes like a slaughterhouse smell sometimes, and that might not be good. All right, it's been actually a little over 2.5 hours, but our water's been holding perfectly at 180 degrees. We've got it on about just below 2 on the burner. Your burner is probably going to be different. But we just crossed over 160 degrees, so fire's going off. We're going to pull our lunch meat out, dump all this hot water out, get some cold water and some ice in here, and then put that back in because we want to cool down as quick as we can. The area between 140 and 70 degrees gives you your most bacteria growth, so we want to bridge that gap as fast as we can. There we go. That ought to bring her down fairly quick. All right, we're down to 70 degrees. We're going to pull this out. You can see some of the fat kind of bubbled over the top. But we'll put this in the fridge now. And we're going to let it cool off even more in the fridge till we get down to about 40 degrees or so. And then we'll take it out of the mold. All right, we just got back from town. I took Kelly to Chinese dinner. Let's get that ham out of the fridge. We'll run it under some warm water. We'll get it out of the mold. We can slice it and package it. There's our pressed ham unmolded. Now we can get the slice in this. I'm going to slice some of it thin for like lunch meat, and then I'm going to do a couple thick patties for like breakfast one morning. We're going to take it camping. Our top is a little crooked because of the way the spring was sitting in the can. So we'll square that up real quick. That can be a taster. Mmm. Very yummy. Tastes just like ham. Very tasty. All right, let's get the rest of this cut up. Make a couple of our ham steaks for breakfast. Probably would have been easier to do those last, huh? So now we'll make some thin slices. And we'll come back when we're packaging this stuff up. So we got 2 packages of ham patties for breakfast, and then we got 2 packages of lunch meat that we can make 2 sandwiches each out of. Ruby kind of likes the smell, huh? So very nice. Got our own ham. Kind of looks like Spam, but tastes a lot better. Alright folks, that's a wrap on the ham. Really good ham flavor with that. Just plain old ham. That's what we made. So coming up, we're going to make some bologna and we're going to make some salami. So stay tuned for those 2 recipes. But we've got our ham in the freezer and we got some of it packaged to go camping with us this weekend. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.